My boyfriend, 21M, of 4 years is starting to get really cold towards me, 20F, and I'm not sure how to go about this. My boyfriend, 21 years old, and I, 20 years old, have been together for 4 years, and he has become quite distant toward me in the past year. It all really started around that time. Basically, at that moment, I was at home for the day, and he was supposed to be at work. He works in construction, so it's easy for him to work late, so I didn't think much of it. But around 8 p.m., I went outside for a smoke when I heard him pull into the driveway. Not thinking much of it, I waited outside to greet him. However, I heard more than just him. His friend and his friend's girlfriend were with him, returning to the house, but they stopped in front of our fence, so I couldn't hear them. I did hear him say to them, "Don't tell her we went to the casino, I don't want to deal with it." She thought I was working. The girlfriend noticed me there and kind of nudged them to get their attention. I ended up walking back inside the house without saying anything because it was clear he wasn't expecting me to be right there. When we got downstairs, I asked him what the point of hiding that and lying about it was, and he became very angry, saying, "I don't want to talk about this right now," and I wasn't lying. I eventually gave up for the night and went to bed while they all hung out in the living room. The next day, we both had the day off, so I asked him in the morning what was going on, and the situation escalated significantly. He punched a hole in the wall. He had never done that before or since. At that moment, I just looked at him and said, "Really?" By then, it was around noon and walked out of the house. I took a walk for about 5 hours, hung out at a park, and wandered the neighborhood because I didn't want to be at home. My boyfriend called and texted repeatedly while I was gone, pleading with me not to leave, to give him a chance, and to come back to talk. However, I still needed time. By the time I returned home, he was extremely drunk. He had finished a 6-pack while I was away, so we still didn't get the chance to talk that night. The following day, it continued to bother me that I still didn't understand why he felt the need to lie about that. I could have been overreacting regarding the situation, but it bothered me immensely. So I got very drunk, and it resulted in another day where we didn't discuss it. Honestly, as I'm typing this, I realize I don't think we ever really talked about it at all. Either way, when he gets home from work, he has become quite upset with me for simply wanting to give him a hug. He has mentioned multiple times that he needs half an hour of peace and quiet when he gets home, which means I can't speak to him or touch him during that period. For me, it feels incredibly backwards because the moment I walk into the house, if he is there, I want to share all about my day and give him a hug and kiss. He brings me joy when I enter the house, regardless of how bad my day has been. However, I feel like a burden to him when he returns home. When I call him, he is often very cheerful and talkative, but by the end of the conversation, he almost always becomes grumpy and irritable, showing little desire to talk to me. He can be very rude to my family as well. While I can understand this sometimes because they aren't always the nicest, they are always kind to him. Thus, it frustrates me when he is disrespectful towards them without reason, and most of my family doesn't really like him for that reason. I love this man with all of my heart, and I thought we were meant to be together. I never wanted children while growing up, but he has genuinely made me consider it. However, after all that has been happening recently, I am uncertain about what to do. We have been discussing moving in with my stepbrother, but before we do that, my boyfriend has stated that he wants my stepbrother to obtain his Class 3 license before moving in, as a condition. I feel that having conditions for moving into a house is different from something like asking him to clean up after himself. This is not just a $300 test. Now, my boyfriend has mentioned that if he does agree, he will pay for it for my stepbrother, but I still don't think that's fair, and I could be wrong. I genuinely don't know. My boyfriend is knowledgeable in many areas, but he also has difficulty admitting when he is wrong. I could literally pull up the correct answer on Google in front of him, and he would tell me that I typed the question incorrectly or something similar. I don't know much about vehicles either, but if I suggest that we should probably have something done professionally or make a joke saying that it will be difficult, he gives me step-by-step instructions as if I understand what he's talking about. I don't know if he is genuinely informing me about his plans or trying to prove that he knows what he's doing in every field, but it honestly extends beyond vehicles. It encompasses almost every area. I have worked in retail my whole life, yet he will argue with me about how I am supposed to handle situations, and what I should tolerate as if I haven't been doing it my entire life. He behaves quite arrogantly around friends, often boasting about how much money he makes and how he enjoys spending it on them. However, the way he expresses it feels off to me. I can't quite explain why. He is also quick to criticize others for their behavioral issues, but as soon as I try to mention something that bothers me, it results in him becoming angry at me for various reasons because he turns the conversation back onto me. It could begin as simply as, "I'm sorry, I really didn't like that joke. Please don't make it again." But it always ends with him listing all the things he has been upset about for weeks without actually bringing them up to me. Thus, we never genuinely talk about my issues. We end up addressing his problems with me, which is exhausting. Even this morning, he was on the phone with me, and this is exactly how our conversation unfolded. "Me, hi, my love, what are you doing?" Him, "Working." "Me, how's that?" Him, "What time do you work today?" Me, "I'm already at work, I've been here since 8. Me, "Well, I have a customer coming in, so I'll have to hang up and call you back shortly." Him, "Okay, bye." Me, "I love you." Him, "Love you." All of this was delivered in the angriest tone imaginable. I haven't even talked to him yet. He left before I woke up for work. I was awake when he left at 3 a.m. when he was supposed to work at 5 a.m. I don't know if this means anything. I just added it in here just in case. I hesitate to bring things up to him anymore for that reason. I truly love this man, and we share many wonderful moments together. He knows me very well, but I can't shake the feeling that there is an underlying issue, and I can't pinpoint what it is. I miss my partner immensely, and I want to know whether it is even worthwhile to attempt to fix our relationship. Also, I apologize if this is scattered. I have ADHD and I'm writing this while I'm working alone. Story 2. I'm 28M, an extremely soft, gentle, and laid-back person while my GF 28F is not, and it's causing a lot of issues. How do we solve this? My girlfriend and I began dating approximately 2.5 years ago. We have always been deeply in love, but it is reaching a point where it feels as though love alone is insufficient and we are simply different individuals, despite sharing numerous similarities. To begin with, let me describe myself. Physically, I am a tall and athletic individual, but emotionally, I am very sensitive and quite carefree and relaxed. I'm an only child, but I was raised by parents who were consistently happy and smiling, and I very rarely experienced their anger or saw them show much sadness. At least, they did not express that in front of me. All they ever wanted from me was to achieve good grades and to have a better career and life than they did, which I accomplished, so they had no complaints. My father could be strict at times, but my mother is exceptionally gentle and the most compassionate person I have ever known. If you observe our interactions, we typically have smiles on our faces. My girlfriend, on the other hand, grew up in a household bustling with siblings, making it very loud and chaotic. Frequent arguing and frustration are routine for her. She possesses a strong personality and is quite opinionated, as she has had to advocate for herself in many situations, which is understandable. She is the complete opposite of carefree and relaxed, constantly pondering various issues. Initially, she presented herself as being similar to my personality, appearing soft, gentle, sweet, and cheerful. However, about a year into our relationship, she began revealing her true self to me. For one thing, she seems to be continuously sad. She claims that this is her authentic self and that she has always been a melancholy person. This sadness can stem from various sources, like work, a video she viewed, or something concerning me. I attempt to assist her whenever I can, but it often results in both of us feeling down. For instance, when I visit her and strive to maintain a cheerful atmosphere, she tends to respond with one-word answers and acts aloof and distant, which dampens my mood. It often turns out that her mood is related to a negative meeting with her boss at work. Additionally, she has exhibited significant insecurity after the first year. She would frequently ask me questions regarding other women she sees on social media, such as sending me a TikTok and asking, "Is she attractive? What about her is attractive?" And whether I find someone appealing. If I affirm that I do, it makes her unhappy. She is also quite impatient and becomes irritated if I take a moment too long to complete specific tasks. She frequently rolls her eyes and lets out sighs in many situations. This behavior indicates to me that she is upset with me, which hurts, but she insists that it is typical for her and that she does not even do it consciously. For example, if I am looking at a map for directions and take more than 3 seconds to figure it out, she might roll her eyes, snatch the map from my hands, and try to resolve it herself. Or, if we are at a restaurant and I fail to catch the attention of a waiter, usually, I just lightly wave my hand or glance at them to signal. She would exasperatedly roll her eyes and appear frustrated. I also feel that since she initially presented herself as a gentle person, I lowered my defenses and revealed my emotional and sensitive side, causing her to adopt a more dominant role, which is now negatively impacting us. I am also quite poor at arguing and become flustered quickly because I am not accustomed to it. I require time to think and process, whereas she is quick-witted and wins most arguments. Once again, I believe this is a result of our differing upbringings. I am very soft-spoken with her, striving to be kind and gentle, while she speaks to me in a straightforward manner. For instance, when I was with her and her siblings, she spoke to her younger sister in a way that nearly made her cry. The younger sister was slow to get ready, leaving me feeling awkward and fearful that the situation might escalate, but it seems this is just their dynamic, and they return to normalcy a few hours later. I am honestly not used to such interactions. She acknowledges that she was not entirely herself at the outset, but when we discuss these issues, she consistently expresses the feeling that I would prefer her to be softer, gentler, and happier. While I completely agree with this, she follows up by saying that no one likes her true self. When people discover what she is truly like, they do not remain in her life. She insists that I must accept both her good traits and her flaws. However, she possesses many positive qualities that make this situation all the more challenging. We share similar values regarding politics, the world, and most aspects of life. She is also incredibly caring, and I know without a doubt that she loves me. This could stem from her issues with attachment, but I never question her loyalty or affection toward me, which is a wonderful feeling compared to previous relationships where my ex-partners would engage in games regarding such matters. For instance, if I am unwell, she would insist on coming over without regard for her own health to take care of me. She genuinely loves me, and I sense that. However, there are just subtle differences from how we began our relationship. In summary, I just don't know what to do. On one hand, this relationship has the lowest lows, but on the other, it has the highest highs. At our core, I feel as though we are different individuals. Simply put, I am extremely sensitive while she is not. What can be done? I cannot just ask her to return to how she was in the first year, because that is not her genuine self. We are entirely compatible in every other regard, which makes this situation even more difficult. Story 3. Dearest, darlingest Momsy and Popsicle. Of course, I'll rise above it. Wicked could not have arrived at a better time. What is this feeling? Is on repeat, baby. I want to yell at you, but I cannot shout, so I am writing this for my own benefit. I am documenting the mess you are, so I do not forget this animosity with time, and so that others can see it as well. I am pleased you are leaving. We are parting ways amicably, but I am finished, and I will harbor resentment about our time together. Thank your lucky stars, February is the shortest month of the year. Goodbye. My tools, my knowledge, my techniques. Everything feels off when you are nearby. However, when I work independently, everything suddenly falls into place. I can read people like a book, body language, word choice, and vocal tone. Do you believe I do not recognize your approach? I see everyone's patterns. I am aware of your actions, and when I do not comply, you throw tantrums. I recognize manipulation when I encounter it. I understand how to identify mistreatment because I have endured it. Gaslighting will not affect me, I can block you. You claim I am obstinate, but I am determined. I can choose what I learn from you, not merely what you want me to absorb. I halted your advances, and the only reason you are uninjured is that you are older. But of course, you are merely attempting to assist, of course, I trust you. Naturally, I am the intelligent one, but I am just lost. Obviously, you chose that spot because it is sunny, not because it is the commanding position of the room. I stated that tools should not matter as long as we achieve a satisfactory final product. They do not substitute for skill. Yet you do not comprehend my tools. They are invalid to you, and that is enough to render them unusable. I make compromises. I adopted your tools, and I am still making mistakes. I am adapting and analyzing my expertise to fit them, only to discover a significant difference in our tools. I explained the distinction and understood how and why it functioned, only for you to assert that both tools operate similarly. Tools should not matter. It is the person's skill, you said. You claimed I was simply doing things incorrectly from the beginning. Absurd. You dismissed my explanation of the difference, and that I would navigate that discrepancy from that point on, only for you to respond that I simply need to accept my errors. I informed you I was going to utilize my tools, combined with my knowledge, and explained what I intended to do. You did not permit me to use my tools, so I complied and utilized my knowledge with your tools. After 3 hours of debating my knowledge, we flipped through 3 of your books that did not contain the exact information I needed. I had to piece together 3 different chapters and clarify my plan, and since you understood what your books were conveying, you allowed it. I completed the process, and it appeared incorrect. You chastised me for mixing and matching chapters. You triple-checked my work, only to criticize my techniques because they made it appear awkward, insisting that I should adhere to your books instead of just improvising along the way. My tools are fabricated. My knowledge is fabricated. My techniques are fabricated. I showed you my books, but since they are in 2 languages you do not speak, you refuse to accept them. I presented my notebook in your language, and you still reject it. If you think I will internalize that, you are mistaken. My certification notebook is not as valid as your certification book, but my certification notes are also not as valid as the non-certified class you attended, because that derived from genuine experience. My understanding is inferior to that of a random YouTube video, yet my YouTube videos are not trustworthy either. Then you exploded and claimed that I should not mix your knowledge, your tools, with my techniques. I do not know your techniques. I did not train with you. I understand what can be accomplished within the set of rules I learned from others and myself. How can I know when I deviate from your methods? Your final statement was if I were going to use my techniques, I should have utilized my tools and my knowledge. Never mix. Who made me blend? But of course, when I lose my temper, you claim you were just guiding me along the correct path and that I should learn from my missteps since it makes you appear as the villain when you are only trying to assist. You say you were not berating me. It was just a frustrated tone. You never attempted to comprehend my tools, my knowledge, or my techniques. I am balancing my plate and your plate while constructing a bridge between them, and all you can say is that I am lazy and not exerting the effort I could be applying. Do you think I value your knowledge? Absolutely not. I now loathe it. I do not want that decaying nonsense near me. Dwell in your town, which you admitted makes you feel trapped, and without me, you must return. Small town, big nightmare. I am pleased I could assist you in purchasing your ticket back. Let us never cross paths again.